Welcome to another episode of Dad Up, everyone. Thank you guys very much for joining me. I'm really excited for the guest that I've had on today. He and I have had a chance to kind of connect over the last month or so, maybe 2 months, and we've been waiting to get this scheduled for him to be on the show. But I'm really excited for him to come on and not only share a little bit about his life experiences, but also talk about his family. He and I have become even though we haven't met in person yet, we've become a little bit good friends through social media and texting and all that. But my good friend, Mr. Mark Clayton, has joined me on Dad Up. Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. For those of you who might not know who he is a former NFL player, Baltimore Ravens, and I'm excited for him to talk about that journey. So, Mark, before we get started into talking about you and your family and you as a dad, let's talk about kind of your past and how you grew up and then how you got into the NFL and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously what you're doing now.
Yeah, Pat. I mean, it was a rough kind of beginning. More we grew up, and so I was born in Oklahoma City, and we lived on the north side. So in Oklahoma City, it's called the Highlands or whatnot. I guess it'd be our equivalent to Inglewood, I guess, back in the day or whatever. My family, we mom worked. My dad was around early, left, I'd say, I don't know, I was probably, sure, I don't know, 5 years old. I don't quite remember. And, from there, it was kind of my mom essentially manning the ship, taking care of us three and making sure that we were good. And it wasn't until around the fifth grade where, um, well, just before that, my stepdad kind of came into my life, but then their relationship was pretty tumultuous, and my mom thought it'd be a great idea to move down to Texas because she hadn't got an opportunity, and so she moved to Texas with my younger brother and sister. I wanted to stay really bad because I had my friends, and I just didn't want to go to Texas, and so she allowed me to stay with my uncle. Stayed there and just was a hellion and got in too much trouble in school. And she was like, "Nah, you coming down?" And so moved to Texas in the middle of the fifth grade year, and it was like a whole new world. I didn't know nobody. First day of school, I got in a fight because kid just, I don't know, felt like he could punk me, which was good. Hit him in the nose, and then got respect, and then had a group of friends that I'm still to this day in contact with, which is really neat. But man, that was kind of a whirlwind going from basically the hood in Oklahoma City to hood in South Dallas to the opportunity that she got allowed her to kind of move into a better neighborhood and situation, and from there, like, school became to kind of move to the forefront, and her kind of pushing us in our schooling. And if we wasn't doing good, there was consequences. We was basically getting the belt, and so we had some belt motivation to do well in school, which worked. And man, that kind of led to I was always playing sports along the way, but never. It was like, yeah, going on and playing pro, or really it was basketball that I started to gravitate toward and want to do professionally. And man, from middle school to high school, was just, I'm playing, and I want to be really good at basketball. And I was playing AAU early, and I thought it was going to be the case, all while playing football with my friends. And in high school, the basketball coach was, this was probably my sophomore, junior year or so, where he let me know that varsity wasn't going to be, a thing. Like, he wasn't going to have me on the team. And I'm like, man, I played travel squad. Like, we've been in Louisiana, Houston tournaments. I played with all these play, like, what? And he was like, man, I just don't think you fit my system. I was like devastated. And so played a couple years of JV. But in football, I was JV. I was a backup quarterback, or I was a starting quarterback on JV sophomore year, junior year, and backup quarterback on varsity. So I would suit out, but I wouldn't play. The injury, there's the starting quarterback and backup quarterback got injured on varsity. That gave me the opportunity to play quarterback, play one game. I was ass. I was terrible. I don't. We crossed the 50 maybe twice. We lost 30-0, And after the game, coach was like, "Man, I think we want to switch your position to wide receiver." And I don't not know anything, and it's like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." And so it was the spring of my junior year where a lot of 7-on-7 happened, and for whatever reason, receiver just clicked, and that opened up the door to my first letter, which was from Texas A&M, which kind of it started to grow from there. And then Oklahoma comes along, and that's where that whole ship just shifted to, man, I can really go on to play college football, and the NBA slowly faded out the window. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a little
So,
bit.
okay, so let's keep going there. I mean, so now you're playing college football, and the opportunity came up for you for you to be placed within a professional team. How did that transpire for you?
Yeah, so my freshman year was difficult. It was the first time I had to train and actually work out. I was more of a natural just athlete. I could, they somebody could show me something once and got it. I could just recreate it, which was a part of why I was able to just pick up stuff pretty quick. And as I got into college, made a name for myself pretty early. I was like a smaller stature guy, and nobody would look at me and think, "Oh, he's going to be a professional NFL player" at all. Uh, but it was my ability to understand things and then go on the field and execute it, that got me in the mix and allowed me to get on the field and play a little bit. And as I got bigger and stronger and faster, the combination of the two made football easier again, like it was in high school. And so getting into my junior year, that's when it kind of all came together. And that was the first time I was first team All Big 12 and the first team All American. And then went to the Biletnikoff finals, and got second to Larry Fitzgerald, who is one of the greatest, wide receivers in college football and just period ever. And from there, my senior year was me deciding not to go into the NFL, just coming back because we had lost the national championship
Hmm.
and play with my friends. And we figured we'd go back to the championship game and win it this time. And sure enough, we went undefeated. We go back to the championship game, but we got our ass beat. It was like 55-19 to USC and Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, and
Right.
Coach Oder smiled like, oh man, it was a tough loss, but it was a fun season. We had a good time, and fortunately, that group of guys who, for went the draft our junior year, we were all drafted after our senior year into the NFL in 2005.
Wow. And for you, I mean, I'm thinking about not only for you, but for your family, for your mom, to kind of see
Yep.
that day happen, and go through that experience. Let's talk about that, because I'm sure there
Yeah.
was a lot of emotions about behind that, especially coming from, a mom who's trying to do right for her kids, and you
Mhm.
know, make the right moves to put her kids in the right opportunity. Let's talk about the emotions behind that.
Yeah, it's so much pressure, thinking about kind of single mom in a household, three kids that are, essentially all like 3 years old and now all the way down to a baby, working, providing, and the need that the kids have. So there's heavy parent, mom dependent, but thinking through all that she went through, and fought through to get us, just put us in position to have an opportunity, was definitely like, I was so grateful to have that opportunity and to, help her take a load off in life, and let her take trips and, do some stuff that she would never, thought that she'd be able to do, and get her the home and all that stuff. And it was just a sweet moment. It was surreal for me because I obviously I hadn't saw myself getting drafted into the NFL at all. But as it started to become real, I look at it, I'm like, man, God had a plan, and I had zero idea of this being a part of that plan. And so for us to have that moment was just, we're just praising God and grateful for that moment, the opportunity, and then the opportunity to continue to go on and do well at the highest level, which, for me was like I really wanted to be successful with it.
And you did well. You did well at the highest level. I mean, pretty amazing. And, you know, were you thrilled about the team that you were drafted on?
I I didn't know much about Baltimore at that time. I was like, it was honestly, it was shocking getting there to Baltimore and realizing one, it's like, man, I didn't know that there was this many black people in one location, to be honest. I was like, wow. And then I was learning about the Northeast. I had never been to the Northeast. There's a different culture. It is the Southern hospitality is not present. But what it is a really tight knit, close family, blue collar. That if you're in, you're in. If you're out, we don't care about you. And I mean, that fan base. It reminded me, in a lot of ways of the Oklahoma fan base in college was you know, the best fan base on the planet. And it felt like a second home. And then it grew to be home as, I got in and was successful early. I was able to make the all rookie team, which was really cool. And so it made me feel good to be able to contribute early and, have the guys that was in that locker room, really respect me and know that I was going to be a part of us going on and winning division championships and championship games.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And I think for you, we'll get into your football, but let's kind of transition a little bit because now your husband, your dad. How many kids you got? How many kids? Let's talk about your family a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So today, married to Elizabeth Clayton, and it's me, her, and then I have two kids. We both brought two kids and so my son Aiden, he's 16, and then I have a daughter, Jada, she's 6. And so I got a nice gap there, which works
Yeah.
really well because Jada's Aiden's biggest fan, and Aiden is Jada's biggest fan. Like it's pretty cool. And then I have Grayson and Ava, who are 9 and 7, right in the middle, and they're full like a ton of energy and all over the place. And it's blended. It's a blended family is like everybody thinks different, and so there's part of it there is flowing, and then there's part of it where it's chaos.
Right.
Uh, but it's a beautiful chaos, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
And so that's the crew.
Yeah. And your oldest son, he plays football.
Mhm.
And because I know that through social media and all that, he
Yeah.
plays football. How's he enjoying that? And what has he taken from your experiences in football? Obviously, you've played at the highest level, so he's got to have some sort of inside coaching there from dad. How has he handled that part of it?
I feel like he takes some, on latches onto it, pretty good. I feel like sometimes he looks at me like, okay, like that's enough. All right. I know, I get it. But it's been cool to see him one be healthy.
Mhm.
So he had this kid wore a size 12 when he was 12 years old. And it was
Oh wow.
really like, man, what? And so when he started playing, getting more involved in football and basketball, his feet would be painful. Like his feet would hurt.
Oh,
And that grew into his knees hurting. And so so he's been playing ball now 3 years, football and basketball more. And so it all these years he's had something wrong. So knee, foot, something. And so in the last, I guess, month, for the first time in all this time, he's been able to just play. Go out, run, jump, hit, stop, spin, whatever, and then get up the next day and feel okay.
oh,
Uh,
good.
which for me, I'm so excited about that because pain, real pain, when you're trying to play something and you want to do something with your boys or something fun or you want to go to the next level, whatever it is it just makes it hard, and it makes it's not fun. And
Yeah.
so just getting to see kind of get into that space where it can be fun and you can just go play and have a good time playing and get the ball and make people miss and get tackled and all that stuff and get up and do it all over again. For me is a joy.
Yeah.
Uh, and then in regards to him progressing through the, going on to the next level, definitely nuggets, like, hey, this is, you got to focus on this. Hey, this is where we're going to be from now. This is, we got to lock in here, or don't do it like that, do it like this. All that stuff is definitely there because, is what I know. And him showing the interest and really wanting to grow in it makes me want to share more and more as it grows.
Yeah. And he has expressed that he wants to go on to the next level. Because I mean, you know as well as I do that even just getting to going from high school to the college level is extremely difficult. I coached both my boys in all the sports that they played from the ages of 4 all the way up through high school. And my younger son got drafted playing, not excuse me, not drafted. He got picked up by a NAIU school for
Nice.
college basketball. And he played for 2 years and then he got burned out. He didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
And so he ended up stopping, which was fine. But he had a scholarship to play basketball in college, which, I'm very proud of. And he's,
Right.
proud that he can say that. But to
Right.
go from high school to college is tough. And I'm sure
Yeah.
you've probably had that conversation with your son. Is that something that he wants to do, is eventually get into college sports?
Yes, yeah, no, he definitely wants to go. He wants to go all the way. And so far has been putting the work in, as much as he can. And my deal with that, like I didn't talk about football with him early. His mom did not want him to play football actually, which I was okay with. It was like, man, I just like him to be whatever, he wanted to be. And then I always kind of felt like as he got older in his teens, it would be like just the boys are balling or playing pickup basketball or whatever football, and that would kind of get him involved or engaged in it. And as he did, he expressed that that's something that he liked to do, and so for me, it made it very easy to just open the floodgate and just start pouring into him.
Mm.
So man, is him today versus 3 years ago. Having that kind of moment of the catalyst of getting going down that road. He's a totally different kid, totally different player, and it's just cool to see the growth and the progression. And we're about to start, something new in terms of just sprinting with a track coach. So I'm looking forward to seeing, the work go in and then what the results look like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, as he grows and starts to develop his skills a little bit, it's important for him to pick up other skills that will help him in football. I know, like
Yeah.
for my older son, for example, he was a big basketball player, and even during the off season of high school basketball, during the off season of basketball, he wanted to continue to work on his game, so he actually played boys volleyball, and he did that
Nice.
because he wanted to get better at
Jumping.
jumping
Hmm.
for basketball, and he
Nice.
actually really enjoyed playing volleyball as well. So I know
That's
that
cool.
picking up track to help him with his speed, his footwork, all that kind of stuff is super super important. Does he come to you and ask you, as knowing that his dad played in the NFL, does he come to you and say, "Hey, Dad, what do you think about this, or how do I fix this part of my game?" Does he come and ask you though for that advice, or does he think he has it under control because he's 16 years old and knows it all?
Well, they partly know it all. He's a different. I don't know. Like he's a pretty mild temper. He kind of similar to me, young, kid. Not a big talker really, but you're gonna talk when you're with your friends, and you can kind of see the different dynamics.
Yeah.
Dynamics. But yeah, like every now and then he'll ask a question. Or can we go, throw, or can we go work on this? Holding the ball has been a thing of late, and so that's happening. And my deal with him is, pushing him into being very comfortable with asking questions,
Mm.
not just to me, but with coaches, with other players. and being kind of that real student teammate, if you will, and that communication piece being huge. If you're in an environment atmosphere with other guys trying to be great at something, and you're inquisitive and that, like, man, what about this? What if we did this? What if we did that? A lot of that stuff actually makes you out to be a much better teammate as well as football player, because there's going to be so much knowledge that you're going to be consuming that you would never have even thought of. That for me it has been huge as a player, learning from other people and seeing things and then asking about that. Well, what about this? What about that? Being a student of the game, I think is pivotal in whatever sport it is, and so that's one of the things that I try to lean into as he asks me questions. Like, yo, like you should, when you're in practice and this happens, like go to the quarterback and say this or say like, hey, this happened. I think they were in the cover two, bro. You down the middle is gonna be wild, like stuff like that, where you're coming like a meeting of the minds with teammates and coaches,
Yeah.
producing a higher IQ and a better athlete.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I mean, that's great. I mean, for him to be able to have that opportunity, not only to play at this level and be good at it, but also to have, somebody that he can come to like you, and speak to you, ask you questions about things, and take what you tell him to heart and really own it. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
What about your other kids? Are they playing any sports, and
Yeah.
what are they
So
doing?
we have a baseball player who's pretty good, really good. His dad is the coach of their team, and the kid is very talented. He can actually do anything. We did flag for a season, and I was the coach, and he was good at that. We go to the golf course, and we'll just kind of hit balls, and he's decent at that, and he's just a talented kid, and he's fun. It's just like my guy, and he's fun to be around. A lot of energy, loves wrestling. Like he's a dude. He's a bro that is just exceptionally talented. Just a real nice kid. He's a lot baby, and so got all the emotions that come with it. But that's Grayson, and then Ava is a she's a one upper. Like she is the most competitive in the house, hands down. Like if you do it, she can do it, and she can do it like 2 times better, hands down. She's gonna do it. All right, love you. Nice fit. They're about to head out, but Ava is a fireball. She is one of the oldest 7-year-olds that you'll ever meet. She is. She's cool. And then, with Jada is our princess. She's the baby, and she is a girl's girl, like through and through. And the cool part is Ava plays flag football. That tells you anything. And then Jada cheers for the team, that same team. So
That's cool.
it's neat. Like she's cheering for her sister, and it's fun for us to watch, and it is so their personalities. Like it is spot on, and it's fun to have that dynamic in the house where we're seeing everybody kind of grow into who they are, and then how they fit, work together, and our family together.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I mean, so you guys are busy. You got your hands full, and you guys are all over the place, it sounds like. But
Yeah,
here's what I appreciate about that. I mean, I know my boys are older, they're 25 and 23, and I know when they were growing up playing sports, between school and sports and their own personal activities, we were constantly busy. We were constantly moving. I was the coach of their teams, and it was just we were always gone doing something, right?
something. Yeah.
But the thing is, I loved it. And when they got older and the kind of the sports stopped, it was nice to have that break and to be able to just enjoy life and be, hang out with my wife and all that kind of stuff again. But
Mm.
I miss it. And because I loved it so much. And I can see just from the way you talk about it and the smile you get on your face when you're talking about each one of your kids and what they're doing, you
Yeah.
love it. You love watching them thrive, and you love watching them enjoy doing the things that they're doing. And that's cool. It's really neat to see that coming from you. So thank you for doing what you're doing with your kids. That's awesome that you're
Yeah.
involved in all that. That's great. That's
So
great.
Yeah, it
Now,
does.
for you, I mean, you've got the experience of the NFL. You've got the experience of being a dad of kids that are very, very busy. What are you doing now? What's your latest ventures? What do you got going on right now?
Yeah, my newest venture is it's an oldie, but goodie. No, so I invented a headphone when as I was retiring. It was just a pet project, but it has morphed into something that is becoming an actual company.
Oh, cool.
And so I created and now started Live Audio, which is a headphone company centered around this Hero headphone that I create, which is an over-ear headphone for active use. A lot of what I did, I wore over-ear headphones, and I, loved over-ears and couldn't really get with the in-ear thing. But if the over-ear experience, none of them were super secure. And so I created a design that I thought would not only look sporty and, more for athletes, but something that would be more secure in the over-ear space. And so we're going to market with the what we're calling the world's first luxury sport headphone, and it's an over-ear headphone designed for active use.
Oh, that's awesome. Can you use it for just for my own personal question? Can you use
Sure,
it for running and all that?
sure, correct, absolutely, yeah.
Oh,
So running is definitely so. The first model that I created, um, my focus audience were free runner, like park guys that did parkour. And so
okay.
I have an over ear that we created that we had guys put on and do all these flips and all this stuff, and the headphones are just they're there. But as it has morphed, it's like, man, not a lot of people are going to be doing all these flips and stuff with headphones on. I think we can let that go and let's move into a little less forceful activity. And so something that's secure enough for somebody to go run or maybe just lay down on the bench backwards where the headphones don't fall back, or even do a burpee. And so things of that nature, not so much, these crazy jumping off of a house, doing a flip and landing
Right.
types of things, but just a more secure over a headphone for some more traditional active use.
Oh, cool. And you said it's going to market. What's the what are you shooting for as far as a date when it's going to be able to come out?
Yep. So really October 25th will be our pre-sale launch date. And we'll be live up, and so we started running our ads and everything now. So we're got a couple publications coming out. We got some headphones that'll be showing up in some different spaces here this month, middle to the end of this month. We'll be shooting some really cool content with really neat influencers, and all this stuff will kind of be hitting around the same time. And then October 25th, we'll launch our pre-sale.
Well, I'm gonna have to pick me up some of those, man.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I want to give you an opportunity. One last question before I let you go. I know you're a busy guy. For parents that maybe have children that play sports, maybe they're playing sports in high school, and the kids really have a desire to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
But parents really aren't sure, especially when it comes to football. Football is a dangerous sport, especially with the head injuries and all that kind of stuff. What advice can you give to parents, maybe even kids out there that want to get to that next level? What advice can you give to them?
I think the number one thing in regards to especially young, trying to do something that you cannot do until you're older, is to play multiple sports. You
Mm,
have like, period. You like parents should make kids that are so single sport, or even if they're not, and the parent is so single sport focused, make the kid play another sport, like period. It just, obviously burnout is very common and easy. But there's also different motor skills that help enhance other sports. I was I was really good at receiver, and because I was really good at basketball, actually. I just understood angles and how to, make somebody lean that way and go back that other way because of basketball. And it made receiver, I hadn't even played receiver until literally I played 1 year at wide receiver and ended up getting a scholarship to the University of Oklahoma. And there's a
wow.
lot of guys that I know who they've just it just kind of clicked, but a lot of it had to do with they played whether it was tennis or they did soccer over here or, whatever, like, with the volleyball, for basketball, all that stuff is so good for, it helps keep the brain refreshed. And then the sport that is the thing, that's your thing, like your thing, like you're excited to get back to it. But you're also enjoying the competitiveness or whatever it is about the other sport also. So that part, I feel like the pressure that says we have to get 10,000, 15,000 hours in at this sport or we're not going to make it is a myth. Like, I think a lot of guys who get there and don't necessarily have the pressure, they're just do far better. Do far better. And
Mm.
so multiple sports, I think, is by like number you must play them. Like football, you're playing basketball, you're in track. Like I get that's what you want, but no, you got to do something else. Golf,
Yeah.
you're up to the golf course as well, because that is going to be for your business relationships in the future.
Oh, I mean, that's good. I mean, I love that. My boys played multiple sports growing up. They played, we did not get them into football. My wife was, for whatever, she was afraid of injuries and all that kind of stuff. So she did not want them playing tackle football, but they played flag football for several years. So they played flag football. My older son played 1 year of soccer and absolutely hated it. And you know what's funny? He was actually really good. He was a phenomenal goalie, but he
Awesome.
hated it. So
Yeah.
after 1 year, he's like, I'm not doing that anymore. But
Right.
they played flag football, they played baseball, and they played basketball. That's where they thrived, was basketball.
Nice.
But again, multiple sports. And the funny thing is that you're saying that you hear a lot of professional athletes because they talk about it. They're kind of their back history and all that stuff when they're playing in these games. A lot of professional athletes didn't necessarily start off playing the sport that they're a professional athlete at. They were playing a different sport, whether it's basketball or baseball.
Right.
So yeah, you're absolutely right. And yeah, it works on other motor skills, helps you develop other motor skills in other areas, helps you get better, not only for that sport that you're playing, but for the sport that you really love. For
Yeah.
you to play 1 year wide receiver and then get a scholarship, but you really loved basketball,
Right.
and basketball just never happened. But here you are playing wide receiver for your first year. And then the next thing you know, you're suiting up for the
Right.
Baltimore Ravens, getting ready to take the field for the first time.
Right.
So you just never know how that happens. But yeah, multiple sports. That's a great advice. Great advice. Um, well, listen, Mark, it has been super awesome to have you on, brother. And I'm
Man, my
really,
pleasure.
really, really
Pleasure to
excited
have you.
for everybody to hear this. I'm excited for your headphones to come out. I'm definitely going to be picking some up myself because definitely got to try them out. And
Sure.
excited about that. But I am excited to continue this friendship, brother, and going forward. And hoping you and I can stay in touch and maybe even have you on the show down the road to talk a little bit more about your headphones and how they're doing and all that. But
Okay.
thank you very much, man, for being on.
Thank
It's
you.
been a pleasure. It really has.
Man, my pleasure. Appreciate you having me. I'm looking forward to the Dad Up golf tournament.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I've never thought about that. That's a good
Let's go.
idea.
Yeah. And then you're gonna have a live sponsorship and it's gonna be awesome.
Dude, you just sparked something in me, man. That's awesome. I didn't even think about that. And I love your mug too.
I'll think, yeah, this was birthday. Yeah, my birthday gift. It's
That's
cool.
awesome. Well, listen, guys, this has been another episode of Dad Up with my good friend, Mr. Mark Clayton. Thank him again for being on the show. And listen, if you have kids that want to play professional sports or any of that kind of stuff, you know what? You can reach out to him on his Instagram. He's very active on there. He'll be more than happy to answer any questions for you. He will get back to you. I promise you that. But check out his headphones when they come out. And please, if you have not yet subscribed to my show, please make sure you do that so you don't miss any of the awesome guests that I have on each and every week. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all on the next episode of Dad Up. Wow, another amazing episode in the books. So much was shared, and I'm truly grateful my guest was able to pour into you to help you elevate your dad game and really dad up. Make sure you bang that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're here, please don't forget to leave me a rating and a review. I always appreciate the feedback. And one last thing, don't forget, your role as a dad is one of the most important roles you have. So if you need a little help or have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me on my website at daduptribe.com. or at my Instagram page at Dad Up Podcast. Until next time, everyone, Dad Up.